Hello, welcome back to GOT. Today we need to talk about the Pixel 10 series phone. They're going to be announcing these things in just under a couple of weeks. Is there enough changes and upgrades to warrant upgrading your Pixel phone? Let's get to it. So across the board, the Pixel 10 series phone is not going to change much from the Pixel 9. So the look and feel is going to be pretty much the same across the board, whether you get the foldable or the bar size phones, with the exception of the Pixel 9. So let's start with that one. So the current Pixel 9 has a two-camera setup. It has a 50 megapixel main shooter and a 48 megapixel ultra wide. Now this phone is the only one that's going to get a difference in the look and feel, basically because it's going to get a third camera. So they're going to actually add a zoom camera or a zoom lens on the Pixel 10. Now out of the gate, that sounds like a really good thing, but check this out. They are actually reducing the camera of the ultra wide. The ultra wide, as we just said earlier, is a 48 megapixel on the Pixel 9. On the Pixel 10, it's going to be reduced to a 12 megapixel camera or lens. So that's quite a reduction from 48 to 12. Now the ultra wide or the telephoto zoom lens on this is going to be a 10.8 megapixel 3x zoom, which of course is better than last year, so they didn't have a zoom camera on the Pixel 9. So that is a benefit. You will get a zoom lens. So now the base model Pixel will actually be right up there with the base model Samsung having the 3 cameras, which leaves Apple with the only one with their base model stuck at 2, being their main camera and their ultra wide. Now the Pixel 9 is also getting an upgrade in battery size. It's going from 4,700 up to 4,970 milliamp hours. So that's a bit of a jump, but the overall dimensions of the phone is staying the same. It's going to have that 6.3-inch main screen and also get the new Tensor G5 chip in it. So they're going to be able to give it more AI this year, and it's going to have 12 gigabytes of RAM just like last year. So the Pixel 9 base model is the one getting the most upgrades with the extra camera, the larger battery, the faster processor, and all that at the cost of an additional 6 grams, going from 199 to 204 grams. So that's a good trade-off to get a larger battery and an additional camera in that phone. Now, the one unfortunate part of it is your cases won't be able to fit on the new Pixel 9. You'll have to get new cases. I want to take a quick second and tell you how I appreciate you hanging out with it while we talk about the new Pixel 9 10 series and what's the difference between that and the 9. If you get something out of this video, please show me your appreciation by smashing that like button. It really does help out the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, now is the time. Now back to the video. Now let's move up to the Pixel 9 Pro. So on the Pixel 9, there's not going to be much difference. The cameras are going to remain the same. The big difference is it's going to have the Gen 5 chip in it, and the battery is going to get an increase from 4,700 to 4,870. Yeah, you heard me. 4,870. That's 100 less than the Pixel 9. The Pixel 9 is going to have a larger battery than the Pixel 10 is going to have a larger battery than the Pixel 10 Pro, which really seems odd. But because of that, they're able to keep the same weight, same dimensions, and everything. Now, there are some software changes we'll talk about in a moment, but other than that, not a whole lot of change. Now, let's move on to the Pixel 10 Pro XL. What's the difference? Well, again, the G5 chip and a little bit larger battery, going from 5,060 to 5,200 milliamps. So a little bit of a jump there, but it's going to remain the same thickness and the same weight, or at least that's the way it looks on paper for now. Now, they are saying that the camera bump might be slightly thinner and not quite as large as this one, but we'll have to see how that goes. And if that's the case, then you may not be able to use your case from your Pixel 9 Pro XL. So maybe shaving a little bit of that off is how they're going to keep the weight same on the newer phone. So let's move on to the Fold series. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold is going to have a couple extra changes that you didn't get in the Pixel Pro series. This one is going to have a little bit larger screen. It's going to go from a 6.3 to a 6.4. That's making it a little bit larger than your standard Pixel Pro, because right now these two are the same size in the 9 series. So the 10 is going to get a little bit larger on the Fold, and I think it's mostly just the bezel, because you got a lot of room here to increase that bezel or decrease that bezel. So they're going to decrease the bezel just a little bit so you get that 6.4-inch screen. Now, the internal screen's going to remain the same, being that 8 inches. So not a whole lot of changes on the inside. And we haven't even heard rumor that they're going to do anything about the crease. So the crease may remain the same. And if you've seen any of my videos, this is the worst crease out of all the foldables. So it's a shame that there's no rumors that that's going to be decreased at all. Now it's going to get an increase in battery size because it's actually going to be a little thicker. So this thing's going to go from a 4,650 milliamp hour battery to a 50 or a 5,015 milliamp hour battery. So it's going to get a little bit of an increase. And because of that, the phone is actually going to go from 10.5 millimeters to 10.8 millimeters thick when closed. So that's a 0.3 millimeter difference. Not enough for your eye to really see, but enough that your Pixel 9 Pro Fold's case won't fit on the 10. Now, of course, it's getting the Gen 5 chip in it as well. So hopefully that'll, of course, improve the performance quite a bit. Now, that's basically it for hardware. So as you can see, not a lot of hardware changes in these phones. Where they're really pushing is going to be their software AI that's going to go along with their new Gen 5 chip. So the Pixel 10 series is going to unlock a whole new wave of AI features that you can't do on the 9 series. And it's not because Google just is doing that on purpose, but it's because the G4 just can't handle the additional features. At least that's what they're telling us. For example, on the 10 series, the Pixel Sense is going to predict things you want or need before you actually ask it, which is something that the Pixel 9 and the G4 can't do. Like one specific feature is going to be speak to tweak. And what is that? Well, you can speak to your phone on a photo and tell it what to do to enhance the photo, such as brighten the sky a little bit. No, that's too bright. Dim it a little bit. Things like that. You can't do that on the Pixel 9. Now, the problem I have with that, if you remember in the past when the Pixel 9 came out, there was a lot of features promised that weren't there and available. It took some time. Same with the Pixel 8. So I'm wondering if right out of the gate, the Pixel 10 will actually have these features, or are they going to be promised for later down the road? So the only real advantage to getting the Pixel 10 series would be to future-proof when these things do make it live on the devices. So that's my little bit of tidbit of cautionary tale. Remember, the past promises that didn't come out with the device, it came months later. And this will make the third year in a row where most of their upgrades were AI promises and nothing of real value as far as hardware goes. They're putting all their effort into software. So with all that said, you have to really think long and hard whether you want to upgrade your Fold or your standard Pixel or Pixel Pro this year. I think the standard Pixel 9 will be the biggest upgrade, getting that additional camera. So that hardware change will make a difference for you if you like to take photos with your camera. So let's go ahead and talk about price on these phones. Now the base model is staying the same. It's $799, just like it was last year. And the Pixel 10 Pro is going to be $999. And the Pixel 10 Pro XL is going to be $1,099. So everything's the same there. What's going to be different is the Pixel Fold. They actually are coming down. It's supposed to drop $200. So instead of $1799, they're talking about being $1599. So they're hoping to sell more phones with price point versus features. So as we know, the software on these phones are pure Android because, face it, Google makes Android. And of course, these are always the first to get the upgrade of the Android software, but that's not always an advantage, especially when you don't have a lot of the basic features and customization you get on other phones. So they're not really selling us on software that much this year as one might think, other than their Material 3 that's coming out with Android 16 on these devices. Now, is the processor going to be strong enough really to make a difference and jump up because they've got a new manufacturer from TSM instead of Samsung? That might be a great difference. And we're going to have to wait and see what they tell us. So now it's time to hear from you. What do you think of the Pixel 10 series that's coming out? Is there enough? Does it intrigue you enough to upgrade from the Pixel 9 series? Are you a fanboy that you're going to upgrade no matter what? Or are there other phones out there that may have perked your interest? Let me know down in the comments below. I want to hear from you. I did just do a video on the Z Fold 7 versus the Honor Magic V3. You could check that out here. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, you might want to go ahead and do so. Now's a great time because there are so many videos that I have out and comparisons I intend to do here in the future, especially on these newer phones. Until next time, have a wonderful day and God bless.